What's up, y'all? It's Morning Joe 245 here, and today we're taking a look at the Origins He-Man, so stay tuned.
By the power of Grayskull!
So this is my first Origins, review, and so I actually got quite a few of these Origins ones, because these are a new line that came out a couple of years ago that are sold at retail now, and they're more of like how Classics is more collector oriented line. Origins is kind of more targeted, I guess, toward kids and stuff. They're a lot less detailed than Classics and Masterverse, things like that. But they have the aesthetic and feel of like a vintage figure, but with better articulation. And I'll compare that here later. But so now I do have one package here. It's actually not for this He-Man. It's actually for a different figure. But I'll show you what it looks like because I don't actually have He-Mans on hand right now. So, but I did have one for a different figure on hand. So I'll show you the packaging. Here's the packaging, and this is for Faker, but it's the same kind of package, just but it's just here to have He-Man's name on it instead of Faker. Anyway, I think it would say new for 21 on He-Man's. You see, flip them to the back, it's got Faker's thing on it, but it's got other figures that are also available. And the rubber band fell out of it right there. But as you can see, it's got a very vintage look to it, which is pretty cool. Actually, I do have a vintage figure that's still been on card, which when I do a review on that vintage figure, I'll show you that vintage figure I have on card. But anyway, so that's the packaging. So let's get to his accessories. So his first accessory here is his power harness, which now unlike the vintage figure, this goes on in a very different way, and I'll show you in just a minute. But you can see it's got a very vintage look to it. It's got the iron cross on it, and the red things that go all around the back, which is the only way on the front of the vintage harness. But as you can see, the way this is, you may be wondering how you get this on the figure. And the way you do that is, these figures are actually very modular. You can, of course, you can pop the head off, but you can, pop the waist off right there, and then you take it and put it around like so, and then you got to snap the back too right there, which this was a lot easier to do on the vintage figure, the way it was done. You put that back on. Get He-Man's head back on. As you can see, there's He-Man with his harness, which looks pretty cool actually. And let's see, let me set my camera up a little bit. There we go. So you can see there he is with his harness on, which looks, that helps kind of complete the look of He-Man. So the next accessory is his shield here, which is modeled after the vintage shield, and it does kind of clip on a little bit different than the vintage shield. Basically you take He-Man's arm right here and stick it in like so, and then clip it on there. It's pretty easy to get on. Once you get it on there, it looks cool. But you can see it's got the orange paint in the middle and the rivets all around it and everything, and pretty classic looking shield. Now he comes with his half of the power sword, and I say half because it is half of the power sword. As you can see, now Skeletor's half does clip onto this, but I'll show you how that works when I review Skeletor. So you have to wait till then. But as you can see, it's got a very vintage look to it with the guard right there. It's a very Alcala style sword too. A lot of the power swords and another swords in this line are very Alcala looking, which I don't really complain because the Alcala style power sword does look really cool. So I ain't got no problem with it. But as you can see, He-Man can hold this in his hand, which is usually how I display him holding the sword. Or it is kind of gummy because of it being half the sword. It is a different silver color than his armor and his shield there, but as you can see, you can take it and stick it in the back right there. So now he's got it, sheathed on his back. And his last accessory is his battle axe. And as you can see, unlike the vintage one, which I got here, we lose a lot of detail actually. The vintage one actually had a lot more details on it, and things like that. And this one's very kind of flat, in comparison. But aside from the lack of details, it's a pretty cool looking axe. It does, have like a vintage feel to it, and it is much harder plastic than as you can see, it's a very stiff plastic, while the vintage one was kind of flexible. But in this case, I actually prefer the vintage. battle axe. He can hold this in his hand, like so. He does get a pretty good grip on it too, and it is the same color as his shield and his armor there. Which, if you want to, he could probably hold the vintage one. Yeah, he can hold the vintage axe if you want to display him that way. Mine's a little bit warped, but if you want to display him like that, you could probably do that. That's pretty cool. So for articulation, this one has pretty good articulation. He's got a ball joint at the head, but he can't be popped off like I did earlier. He's got a hinge and a swivel at his shoulder. He's got a single hinge at his elbow there, a hinge at his wrist. Got a swivel articulation, no power punch action feature like the vintage one, which they did actually do that with the Thunder Punch version in the Origins line. Which if I get that figure, I'll review that and show you how that works. But anyway, he's got a hinge at the leg there, which on the vintage figures, these were held together by rubber bands, which deteriorate and fall apart over time. So this is actually an improvement. And he's got a hinge at the knee and a cut joint at the boot there, and a hinge and a swivel at his ankle. So pretty good articulation. So let's go over the sculpt, design, and color of Origins He-Man, starting with his head. Now, being a very retro style figure, he doesn't have a whole lot of details, but now this is the first head that they started putting on He-Man. Later heads look more like the vintage head, which I do prefer. Which if I get the Battle Armor He-Man, that head will probably go over this figure because I like that better. Or that that Battle Armor He-Man 2-pack with Battle Cat. I'll probably take the vintage style head and stick it on this one. But it's not a bad head though. I just prefer a vintage head, the vintage style head better. But as you can see, it does still look like He-Man. He's got the very signature He-Man hair, and it's blonde and everything. It still looks like He-Man, so you can still recognize him. And as you can see, like the vintage figure, he's got really big muscles. You can tell he's been working out. He's got his harness, which is actually tighter than the vintage figure. And going down, he's got like the same kind of belt piece. His wrist bracers are different though. The vintage figure had a bigger wrist bracer that was unpainted, which these are both the same, which is kind of very Filmation like. And his belt and underwear there's very vintage looking at. And like I said, on the original one, you had a rubber band that went up in there holding the legs on, which these are articulated joints and just pegging there, which like I said, that's actually a very big improvement over the vintage ones, because like I said, the vintage ones, rubber deteriorates over time and it comes apart and it gets rotten. I've actually had to fix a few of my vintage ones that the rubber was deteriorated and fell apart. So I might do a video on how to fix He-Mans sometime or another. I have to remember how to do it. It's been a while since I had to fix one. But as you can see, he's got the big muscly legs and everything, back and everything. His boots have a yellow fur at the top, which is a pretty cool detail, and very vintage style boots at the bottom there. And these figures are very modular. You can do a lot of customization. Like for instance, so if you wanted like a shirtless Prince Adam on your display, you can do that. But which it looks like he's in mid transformation. Like I guess you could do like you can put him in the I have by the power of Grayskull pose. I mean, and he's kind of like in mid transformation. Here he is on the Origins Battle Cat, and which I'll do a review on Battle Cat soon. I got the vintage Battle Cat, this Origins one, and the Masterverse Revelation Battle Cat, which that Battle Cat is huge. It's a very massive figure, and I'll show you how massive it is when I do a review on it. But so he actually fits on there pretty cool, and you kind of give him that vintage squatty like pose too when you put him on Battle Cat. But it's a cool way to display him if you want to. Okay, so it's comparison time now, and as you can see here is this new Origins He-Man standing alongside his vintage counterpart, and as you can see, this is obviously based on the vintage figure. Now the head is different, and like I said, I prefer the vintage style head, and as you can see, now this new one is awesome, but I personally still prefer the vintage He-Man figure, because that was my He-Man figure from my childhood. He got played with quite a lot in my early childhood, so just very nostalgia. So here he is compared to 3 other He-Man figures that use the same body and mold, and now and of course we got the standard He-Man there, and then beside him is Prince Adam, and then beside the other side is anti-turning He-Man. There's the black He-Man, and beside him is Faker, as you can see, Anti-Eternia, He-Man, and Faker have the improved head, which now Prince Adam uses the same head as the other He-Man there, and which that would kind of help. I might leave that head on him because it would help kind of hide his identity a little better, because the vintage one had the same head as the regular He-Man, which was obvious that the same person. And then in the Filmation series, he looked the exact same. So I mean, he didn't hide his identity very well. So I would kind of make him look a little different from He-Man to kind of help hide his identity some a little better. But still, pretty cool. Now, which one of these is my favorite? I don't know. I actually like all four of these. It'd be hard for me to pick, but which I will do a review on all these other four. The Prince Adam came with the Sky Sled, so when I do a review on that, you'll see him. There you go. There's a look at the new Origins He-Man. I really like this figure. It's got some improvements over the vintage one. Like I said, I personally prefer the vintage one, for nostalgic reasons. But as a kid, growing up in this era, this would be pretty funny. You probably get a lot of the same enjoyment, I got out of the vintage one when I was, in my kid years. And, just, so if you like this video and want to see more Origins reviews, give me a thumbs up, help me out a lot, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Till next time.